And then on the 16th, we have Savannah Stone. On the 17th, Madness. On the 23rd, we have Vinged Thunderbolt. On the 24th, we have Guillermo. On Monday, the 29th, yes, a Monday interview, we have Corn Boy Kevin Gutierrez. On the 30th, we have Keyshawn Calloway. On the 31st, we have Zombie Dragon. And then on August 6th, we have Green Phantom. So July already heating up in more ways than one for Wrestling Win. Alright, I think we're done putting ourselves over, no, Scooter?
I'd say so.
Alright, let's get into it. On a bit of bad news, not necessarily a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. Kevin Sullivan having some health issues right now. Even started a GoFundMe at this point. Hopefully, he could kick out at 2, but we do wish him the best. Now, Kaliko?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's getting to that point, man, but hopefully all these legends, man. I mean, the wrestling community pulls through when it's always time for support. So, and he's a guy who's like one of those super unsung heroes that people don't think about when you think about wrestling, but you think about like the impact he made as a booker. But I mean, just Godspeed and good health. Hopefully, he gets better. We get more time with him because we need him more. Interact with these legends more like WrestleCons and WrestleFest, stuff like that.
Definitely. Anything you want to add, Scooter?
No, Kaliko said it perfectly. Everyone thinks of Kevin Sullivan at only a certain point of his career when he's actually been when he's been the unseen hand in the shadows from his time in Florida to WCW and everything, and stuff he does with A&E for the Legends stuff as well. Funny story. I randomly ran into Kevin Sullivan at the Museum of Natural History here in New York City.
The fuck?
A number of years ago.
That is a very random place to meet Kevin Sullivan.
I know. It was really random.
Okay. On a bit of good news, depending on who you ask, Angel and Humberto have re-signed with WWE. Angel made comments that it was an offer they could not refuse, assuming that it was a big, money contract for him. I mean, it's WWE, so, they're going to, put out for their wrestlers. And as we covered, I believe 2 weeks ago, Chad Gable also re-signed. What are your thoughts on WWE making offer to maybe lower on the card wrestlers to stay with the company? Kaliko. Oh. Did we lose Kaliko?
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the lower card is like. I mean, here's the thing, because most people are going to think, oh, well, Chad Gable has to be on top. And the thing is that Chad Gable was involved in a major story angle, in a sense. And his stock value was really high. Now, I think it would have been higher had he won the title, turning heel immediately. But I see why they're kind of delayed that part. But not everyone could be at the top of the ticket, right? it's kind of like tiers, and everyone has a tier. Some go up a tier. As soon as they get done with the upper tier, they kind of go down a tier or two, and then they got to, get their way up. It's just more like symmetrical with the story. And could Chad Gable be a WWE champion? You can make that argument. The best hot shot is for him to win Money in the Bank, which, in fun fact, I think he's going to win it. And that's the only way you can kind of hot shot. I think that's the only way you can hot shot him in. But when it comes to these re-signings, it's just a matter of attrition at this point, because you're going to need all the steady hands you can get, and the ones that are best served for the company and best have the company in mind. And Chad saying in particular, I mean, he put in the work. So it's not like he's, they were working with him for the contract. I mean, they easily could have did something for like Dijak, but they didn't. I mean, because they just didn't see value in it in him.
Asked for his release.
Who? Dijak? I mean, he brought it out in the front as if he did, but the way he said it was like they never tried to rework a deal with him. So essentially, he just basically was already out before it was a done deal. Because he showed up at shows the next day, so his contract just ran out.
So there was
otherwise, they would have put the 90-day clause.
Yeah. Isn't the 90-day clause even if your contract runs out?
Nope.
If you have it.
Yeah, but in his case, his contract just ran out.
Well, and we were talking, like I said, Angel Garza and Humberto also re-signed. So, like, I always felt like there was a really big upside for Angel. He had a lot of charisma. At one point, I thought that he was, the best Mexican wrestler that they had. Definitely could have been, the next. I don't want to say Eddie Guerrero, but in that, upper echelon. I mean, he still can be, but right now, he's under Santos. So I could definitely see what they might see what I'm seeing as well. But what say you, Scooter?
When it comes to that whole an offer they couldn't refuse, I think that was just Angel having fun. They are right now, I'd say, where Eddie was when he first started in WCW as a cruiserweight. He needs something else to take him to that that next level. Otherwise, he's gonna just be laboring in mid card with Berto for the rest of his career until he ends up in AEW.
And it is seeming very likely that Ricochet will be ending up in AEW unless something major happens. People very much seem under the impression that he is going to AEW. I feel like, considering where AEW is as a company right now, why would you want to leave the biggest pro wrestling company for something like that? Especially if your fiancé is working there as well.
Well, the problem is that let's face it, the fiancé got more clout in WWE than, or I would say she's more known in WWE than Ricochet. And that's not even a knock to Ricochet. It's just it's more of a indictment of how they position people, right? So to me, he has to build. He's trying in his mind. He feels like he needs to build his reputation to be the Ricochet that was NXT, right? And that Ricochet was like off the wall. Ricochet on the main roster, for the most part, has been a start and stop type of deal. And for Ricochet, I don't think it means as much to him being in WWE. I think it meant a lot to him that he tried it. And he's tried, and so now he can say he's tried every pick of the litter, and he can say, and then he can choose the path what's best for him. I don't think it's more of an indictment of, one being better than the other. I just think it's more of an indictment of him wanting to test himself out everywhere.
I kind of fall under the impression of, okay, so yeah, Ricochet, good wrestler. Name one promo that he did with that was memorable. And that's always been, his biggest problem. Good hand pro wrestler, not so great at the stories and the storylines and the promos. And, that's a detriment in WWE. So, maybe...
Well,
huh?
My only issue with that is if it's a detriment, it has to be a detriment of the company because he was more known as the coachable guy. So it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like he was going to knock the boat, if you will.
I mean, like I said, they tried to give him, those big rivalries, and he never capitalized on them. Never had a good promo. Decent story that could have been great if he would have been a better promo. I mean, even, his last days on WWE, Braun Breaker breaking his ass. It would have been great to see him come back and maybe pop off against Breaker, but, we're not getting that, so... It seems like he'd just be happy doing, the flippy stuff in AEW where there are no stories, you just have matches. Which is what he was the best at in New Japan.
I mean, you can make that perspective side, but my only thing is that if that was the problem, it wasn't a problem of they knew he wasn't going to be the strongest on the mic when they signed him, right? So everything from then on is an institution of more coaching. Because if he's going there knowing he's not the best promo guy, and everybody from all accounts are like he's a good guy, coachable, willing to listen, he's just taking the advice that is being given to him.
Anything you want to add before we get to the next topic, Scooter?
What's Rick O'Shea doing in the Impact Zone?
And that's a great segue to our next piece of news, which is why are the Creed brothers at Bloodsport 11 in New York? They were announced from Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, I believe earlier this week. It is interesting because Shayna Baszler was a part of Bloodsport back in April. So it does seem like there is some type of working relationship between Josh Barnett and WWE at this point. So what are your thoughts on pretty mid-carders at this point, the Creed brothers getting, a shot at Bloodsport? Scooter.
It's a very interesting a set of circumstances. When we thought, cross, promotion, like when we, none of us expected anything like Bloodsport.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not I wouldn't necessarily call Bloodsport a promotion, but more like an event. Um, so I mean, you're not necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily say you're losing anything on WWE's part by um, lending your talent to not to somebody that's putting on a wrestling event on the indie level. And I don't believe the Creed brothers were on the independents prior to WWE. So it might actually be beneficial for them, to get some repetition. Only considering that they've been a part of WWE. No, Kaliko?
I mean, yeah. But also, give them something to do. I mean, with the tag division trying to shape itself, I mean, give them something, some exposure, give them another side of them, especially because they're more of the wrestling background, and Bloodsport, of course, is one of those more mixed martial arts, so it kind of gets them to highlight the actual wrestling that they do. And maybe to try to translate that from in-ring into the WWE, and it also could play as a way to give the Creed brothers their mean streak, in a sense. Um, considering they've been cutting promos about moral victories and they're trying to do whatever it takes. And something Bloodsport is definitely an event where you kind of do whatever it takes. So gives them that little, gives them that little, that little don't give a damn in them, right? And hopefully that'll translate into when they go back to the main roster.
The first rule of Bloodsport is we don't talk about Bloodsport.
I thought it was Fun Club.
It will be interesting to see who they wrestle, considering that Shayna Baszler wrestled Masha Slamovich in April. So any inkling or idea of who you like to see the Creed brothers wrestle on the Indies, Scooter?
If we're talking the Indies, I mean, the team. Are there really any new teams that are driving up interest on the Indies at all?
That's a good question. I think that they're going to have individual matches, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they do tag team matches in Bloodsport.
No, they don't.
No.
So.
I mean, other than that, not sure what else to not sure what else to say about it.
Okay. Well, when we reported this last bit of news a couple of weeks ago, I thought that it would just be something that we would talk about once. Shane McMahon AEW bound. It's been heavily rumored. Mercedes Moné already said that she's spoken to Shane McMahon, maybe a day or two after Forbidden Door.
They ran into each other at an airport.
I mean, that's mildly convenient. No.
Well, someone someone else has killed those rumors. So
And who was that?
Matt Hardy.
Well, Matt Hardy's not with the company.
Matt Hardy kills rumor of Shane McMahon reaching out to AEW talent. On the latest episode of Matt Hardy's podcast, The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, the pro wrestling legend claimed he heard the talk of Shane McMahon reaching out to AEW talent was untrue. He's not. I heard from someone. It's not. None of that was true. It's Matt fiction, 100%. It would be wild though. Hardy, Shane reached out to someone. I said, like, why is all this talk of me and AEW? Why is it going on? People started texting me about it, and this is Hardy speaks in a very weird, tone. But reaching out to AEW talent, not true, but who did reach out to talent in Chicago? Mustafa Ali.
Why was Mustafa reaching out to talent in Chicago?
Because he lives in Chicago.
Yeah, he used to be a police officer over in Chicago.
Okay. So he's recruiting for TNA?
No, he was just there visiting.
But let's speak on the hypothetical level for just a moment. What would Shane McMahon actually do in AEW if he was to come? He wouldn't be on-air. Would he just be on-air talent? Would he be doing something behind the scenes?
His ass would be sitting in the parking lot.
Yeah. Do you think anyone with the name of McMahon is on that payroll?
Well, somebody had suggested that Vince McMahon should come with Shane McMahon to AEW as a duo. I mean that's a little absurd, but I mean we never thought Vince McMahon would, sell the company, but here we are. So no.
That could be a case, but I don't see Shane. Because Shane, the question is, what would be his usefulness? Because you're not gonna put him on as a talent weekly, and he's of a person that would be more of a CEO authoritarian, not authoritarian, but he would be more in the business side per se than the actual wrestling side. To me, I mean, because as much as Shane McMahon probably could wrestle, the question is, who the hell would he wrestle? Who is going to be really?
Yep. I'm not even joking.
I mean, over control of AEW or something? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, but after that, then what? Because let's say the Bucks win, then what? Which the Bucks has every right to say they ain't going over. They ain't letting Shane go over. Then what?
Well, that would have to be a question for another time, I would think.
You just had like 88 heel face turns in a week with AEW, let alone. I don't trust them long term. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
with long term storytelling.
And I get that. it's it's just it's quick. It's easy to dismiss it, but it's also easy to say stranger things have happened in pro wrestling. So maybe those.
That is true. That's true. Pro wrestling is like college football. Anything that has happened, there's probably a story for it. But but in the sense of Shane McMahon, it just seems like he's so. If they even ever to sign him, his story would be so limited that because at least like if Ricochet joins AEW, he has the claim as a wrestler, so he could wrestle other people with different styles and move himself up the quote unquote rankings that matter but don't matter, and at least make a case for it. With Shane, it's going to be the eye is always going to be on Shane and what is he doing? Is he here because of backstage shit or is he here of talent shit? And if he's here of being a talent shit, the talent shit and the backstage shit is always going to overlap. So that's where, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's going to bring more distraction than it will, it's going to bring more eyeballs because of the distraction, but more people are going to be more focused on the distraction than actually the wrestling product itself.
Right. And speaking of wrestling, Money in the Bank is later today. We did the whole preview last week on the show, but you were not here, so I would like to get your opinion on who will win the men and women Money in the Bank ladder matches, considering since we did the preview, all participants are now announced. So, Kaliko, the women's Money in the Bank contract. Io Sky, Chelsea Green, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, and Zoe Starks. Who wins?
My heart is saying Chelsea Green. My mind is yelling Tiffy time.
Are those your...
Yeah. I can make the case for both of them. Chelsea Green winning it because it puts her in the position that she actually is the best fit for. A person with the briefcase, and she can actually hold it longer than usual because no one, I think, the longest a woman ever held that briefcase is been like a couple months? And that was Carmella because they had to redo it 13 times, but that's a whole other thing. But she could be something where it's delayed, right? Like we'll get there down the road. Tiffy is interesting because of the whole Nia Jax Tiffy Bayley thing, right? Where Tiffy could win it and cash it at SummerSlam. I could literally see that happening as a scenario. So in my mind, it seems like Tiffy is the best choice. I'm gonna go on a limb and say Chelsea Green because I think it's going to be a long-term cash-in.
Scooter?
First of all, I love the fact that we have new, relatively new participants for this year.
I think only Io and Naomi have actually Zoe's been in one as well. But
well, it's not like the big four. I get what he's saying. The people where it seems so overshadowing that they could win.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That being said, this is the dynamic between Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton. It seems like it's so much of a a collision course that it weirdly cancels. They weirdly cancel each other out, and this is why I think it's neither going to be Green or Stratton. I think Io's going to win it again.
Who's your second?
Ooh.
Who's your second pick?
Wait a minute, we got picks?
Yeah, two
We
picks.
got more than one pick?
Yes, two.
Motherfucker.
I thought you went with Chelsea Green.
Motherfucker.
I thought it was Chelsea Green and Trinity Stratton was your two picks.
Oh, okay. Well, shit, that's the record show. I thought I only had one. My bad. My bad, Scooter. I'm sorry.
My runner-up would probably be Chelsea, but she wins it by accident, like Otis.
That would be interesting. So, this is how I kind of saw things. I could see them definitely giving it to Chelsea Green, just for the pop she'll get for winning it in Canada, considering, she is Canadian. And I would have, if this was like maybe 2-3 months ago, I would have told you it wasn't even a question. We were getting Tiffy in the bank. But since, she had that, backlash from that video a couple months ago, it does really feel like they've cooled off on her somewhat. Not to say that she isn't in storylines, but it does seem like she has been taking a back seat as of late. So,
almost like Nakamura.
I could definitely see them maybe saying, well, maybe let's just wait and see for a minute. So, the other name that they've been really pushing and, getting behind is Valkyria. It would not surprise me if they decided to go with Valkyria in this position. Also considering the last person to hold the Money in the Bank was indeed a heel. So my two picks were Chelsea Green and Lara Valkyria. Zoe Starks wasn't announced when I made that pick, but I don't necessarily see Zoe being a factor in the match, if I'm being honest. Right. And I mean that's a good question. Do you see Zoe being a factor in the match? Could they be going with Zoe or?
Watch that they decide to put Trish in the match.
Yeah, that's right. She has been announced.
She's hosting. So watch they give it to Trish.
I feel like that's a Vince McMahon thing rather than a Triple H thing.
Well, I mean, 2 weeks ago, I would have said, I would have had a different opinion on the men's Money in the Bank than I would now, because that's almost the type of thing that I would have expected heel Roman to do.
Well, let's talk about it. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We got Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Chad Gable, LA Knight, and Drew McIntyre. Who wins Kaliko?
My two picks would be And before I go there, I'll give you the reason why no one else is gonna win. I don't think Uso's gonna win because I think the Wyatts are gonna fuck him over. Weirdly enough, I think they're gonna fuck him over. The Melo's not there yet. Andrade's not there. Punk fucks over McIntyre. So therefore, it's Knight or Gable. I think Gable wins it. It'll be Gable or Knight. Because Knight felt like a super shoe-in last year. And we ended up getting Priest, which was so left field. So I think it's Gable or Knight.
What say you, Scooter?
Again, 5 out of 6, 4 out of 6 have never been in a Money in the Bank match. My biggest fear is they're gonna use this to try and force Andrade over.
Oh God, no.
Oh wait a minute. Hold on. That's just watch Charlotte come back. and when it
For Andrade?
Jey Uso has a reason to win it. Carmelo doesn't have a reason to win it. Andrade doesn't have a reason to win it. Gable has a reason to win it. Knight has a reason to win it. McIntyre has a reason to win it. What I would have expected was give it to Drew and then keep on having Drew match Punk's achievements. But this is a... It seems like McIntyre is a shoo-in not to win.
Right.
So, Gable or Knight. If Gable wins, we know why he didn't go over Sammy.
Yeah.
If LA Knight, last year I thought it was his year. He also has kind of fallen off a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. So if Knight were to if Knight were to win, could God damn. I think we're gonna end up seeing another all of a sudden. Well, no. Would the Wyatt Sick end up face turning Gable?
That's a good question.
Or would they continue to fall into the heel? I'm also wondering if they are ballsy enough to put another person in the match. They've done it. They've done it before. Watch it be Bo Dallas.
Ooh. I think he would be Taylor. Taylor Rotunda.
Yeah, it's unsure. I don't think I don't think his actual non-masked gimmick name has been revealed. But well, all these people, I want to say Gable. I want Gable to win, Knight to runner-up, but I also expect a seventh entrant.
Okay. So who did you say was runner-up?
Knight.
Knight. Okay. So last week I was very much under the assumption that it could be Jey Uso or Chad Gable. I could really very much make the argument that LA Knight doesn't need it. He's in a rivalry with what is his name? Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
So I could definitely see him Logan Paul coming into the match and screwing him just when he's about to get the briefcase.
True.
Then like you said, CM Punk might come in to to screw McIntyre. That kind of seems very clusterfuckery if you have Logan Paul and CM Punk, just coming into the match and screwing guys over. So what would make more? What would make?
It would make.
Yeah.
It makes sense in the sense that. It makes sense in the sense that those two people are so because. WWE has done a masterful job of people being so hateful that they don't give a damn who they fucking over. Or who wins. I just want to fuck over the other person so bad. So you could easily see the case for three targets, and that's why I said specifically the Punk and McIntyre, the Logan Paul and LA Knight. And to me, I'm thinking it's going to be Jay, and Jay is going to be in the crosshairs of the Wyatts because the false prophet who berate and belittle their families is a line that I cannot, that doesn't get over my head because it seems like it's Gable, but Gable's not related to any of them.
Right.
And that's where I'm like,
But
right.
Yeah, and Jey Uso was going to be the
trying to be the tribal chief.
Yes, so false prophet.
So and that's why I could see that angle. And if you were ever to have a cluster fuckery like that, Money in the Bank or Royal Rumble, I think are the two events where people are okay with it.
I kind of agree with you, but when it comes to too much in one match, I feel like, especially when it comes to people that aren't technically in the match, it would be a lot.
You know what? I just thought of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would be more embarrassing to McIntyre if than Punk costing him the match?
Costing him to cash in?
No. McIntyre retrieves the briefcase. Here comes God damn it! What is that? McIntyre retrieves the briefcase. Here comes Punk. Punk tells him to open the case. There's nothing in it. There's no contract. Punk holds it up.
Okay.
Like, sorry, gotta restart.
If I would have said when Drew McIntyre qualified that, there's no really discussion. Drew McIntyre would win the match. He's Drew McIntyre. But I also could have made that argument for Clash at the Castle, that there was no other option. Drew had to win the title, but here we are. I completely understand where Drew is the type of character that he needs something to complain about, but at what point does he get something in return? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, it will get something in return. He just wants to make sure. Yeah, they want to make sure that Punk is 100% before they
Right.
they pull. Also, by the way, I think Knight is interchangeable with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens here. So if you had Orton and if Knight wasn't in this match, it'd be Orton or Owens. And
yeah, Randy has a bad back. He doesn't need to go bumping off of ladders. Been there, done that. So I went with Chad Gable as my number 1 and Jey Uso as my number 2. I feel like Drew McIntyre changes that somewhat, but I also wouldn't feel comfortable going with him considering, where he's been in the past. So I'm going to stay with Chad Gable or Jey Uso for the W. Alright, and we will see later today if these predictions are true, if they're bull. For all we know, Andrade and Naomi will be our Money in the Bank briefcase holders. Nobody will see that coming. Alright, and now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.